Hi, everybody. I am Melissa Marie, and I am honored and privileged today to interview one of my friends, Kylene Alvich. She has her own travel agency. It is called Magik Mom Travel, and she truly is magical. We met each other last year. It was summer solstice. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, it was a sad time, but it was also a time of uniting people that have a common goal. And I feel that you and I have a heart of service, and and that's when we connected, and we've kind of kept in touch ever since, which makes me really happy because when we're in this time space continuum of wherever we are, whatever reality we've chosen, it's good to have like-minded people, ones that have a good heart and a heart of service. And so that's why it's an honor today to interview you. And so I'm going to let you take it away. Can you just tell everybody who you are and all about you?
Okay. I'm Kylene, and I am a mom of three boys. I have to put in that they are 19, 10, and 3 because when I tell people that, they're kind of like, okay. um, I'm an herbalist, I'm an oiler, of course, and I'm a Reiki practitioner. And I'm also a travel agent that is specializing in astrocartography, which is a whole world of a different way of talking about astrology.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, what do you think in your lifetime has brought you? It sounds like you've done a lot, right? Like you said Reiki, herbalist. I know you do oils, you're a mom. So what do you think was your catalyst and what brought you to the travel?
It's a really long, long story because
That's
everything, not everything goes the way you think it's going to happen. So I went to school right out of high school to be a veterinary technician, which is totally different than all those things. And Um, all I knew growing up was Western medicine. We weren't very crunchy people. None of that stuff. So love to heal and I love to help. Even as a little kid, I would like rescue animals and bring them to my house. My parents would kick them out. And so I would always have that heart of I needed to do something for someone else. So I became a veterinary technician and I was doing that for 15 years. It was I had a lot of things come up that didn't feel right while I was doing it. But needless to say, I continued and then I ended up opening my own soap business, soap and skincare. Because I had my firstborn and he had some health issues. And I was like, oh, this is neat. I've never learned about this. I'll do this. Um, so as I was doing that, I had a lot of difficult mental health things that came up for me. I was in a very dark area of my life, and I realized I had lost myself as a mom. I was a mom, and I made soap, and that was all I knew about myself. And I was like, I don't know what brings me joy anymore. I don't know what you know I don't know who I am. And um, this is about 8 years ago. And I had all of a sudden somebody dropped essential oils in my lap, which came with a huge community of people with Young Living and specifically. And it was through that I started learning about myself. I had all these women come around me, which I was a very lonely person. I didn't have a huge community. And it was very hard as a mom, like not, I know a lot of moms understand, like not having that tribe of women around you when you feel so alone, like you don't know who you are and it's kind of a dark area. It can be. And so all of these women, I ended up finding a mentor in that community who was very spiritual and led me down this path of like, who are you? What do you love? What do you like to do?
right.
Besides using oils to help people and their healing journeys or whatever journeys they have going on, like who are you? And that is what brought me down this path of figuring out like, oh, there are other things that I can do. What brings me joy? And yeah, that's how I ended up going in this whole path in this direction.
When you said something about you felt lost and and then you stumbled upon the oils and then with that came community. I really feel that as women, no matter what our path is, we're communal people. We just by nature that's what we seek. And when we find it, and I we just read with Ascension Studio, the book club book is Frequency by Penny Pierce. And when you find your home frequency, it's who are you now in resonance with? So I said something to you before about choosing oils, and I'm gonna go ahead and share the ones I chose. Valor, um, Rose. I'm actually diffusing Rose with you right now because of Rose Ridges Farm, because it's also a high frequency oil. And then Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood because I'm putting my out there that I'd like to go to Hawaii one day for doing travel. Um, but because I'm finding my home frequency and I'm using these oils, which are high frequency, and we talk about vibrations, but it really is a science. These have a megahertz, we have a megahertz, and we can raise our vibration and our frequency energetically, but also like it's measured physically by megahertz. And when we are in resonance with those people, then it makes it easier to have that community in that space. And I see you smiling right now because if it wasn't for that person, and I think I know who it is, um, if it wasn't for her, and she got me too, like it was the thieves that kind of stole the show, and I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And I'm with you, if there's a natural way of healing, let's use it, let's do it. So but it went from healing your family and discovering who you are and what makes you tick, and so I would imagine that travel is a part of that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I discovered, well, I had gone a couple of trips as an adult. Like as a child, we did not travel. My father was like, "We're going camping and that's it." And we're not going past, like, I grew up in New England and we didn't go very far outside of that. So I was like, there's this whole world that I've been learning about and I know nothing firsthand about any of it. And so as an adult, the first time I took a flight across the country, it was mind opening, like mind blowing to me. Like, oh my gosh, there's all these incredible places that I could go to. And and then that happened again with Young Living, going to their convention that they have in Utah every year. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I'm surrounded by these people that are in community. Like, the whole area just brings me so much joy, which kind of goes into my astrocartography because I learned later that that is a specific area for me that is actually very high frequency for me specifically. And as I learned, like, oh, I had this stigma maybe growing up. I was taught like travel is for the rich. Travel is not something that you as a mom, a busy mom who's just trying to make it, can do. And that's not true at all. And so I'm like, this brings me so much joy to be able to go to all these places and learn how to do this without breaking a budget. And I'm like, what if there's other moms that are out there that are like me, or other women that are like me who are like, oh, I so wish I could go to wherever place. And I don't feel like I'm ever going to get there. And that's not true. Like there are ways to make it happen, and to bring yourself into alignment and raise your own frequency so that can happen.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. And it makes me so excited to be able to do that for other people. And then there's a whole other level that I'm going into that I just learned about myself. That there's another part to my astrocartography that I want to help people with this modality go to different parts of the world to help heal themselves in some way, and in doing so help those areas of the earth that they're being drawn to. So it's
So,
all connected.
so like when you say that, are you talking about like the ley lines, something like that?
Yes and no. It's a little bit of both. And somewhat of it goes into the Akashic records and teaching people like maybe this area is something that's going to heal a certain aspect of your life. Like maybe you have wounds around relationships and going to your Venus line that is specific to your natal chart is going to help bring relationships and love into your life, that kind of thing. But at the same time, you're going in and kind of using Reiki and other healing, energy healing modalities to bring that back to the earth as well.
That is incredible. That's so cool. I didn't even, I am just now, I've got my Reiki 1. I'm working on my Reiki 2. And I didn't realize that just using that modality for myself is empowering. And how when we empower ourselves, that's how we help other people. So that is incredible. I'm so like ready to get my cart, how do you say it again? Cartography?
Astrocartography? Yeah.
Astrocartography. That sounds, so you put it in the computer, you said? So what do you have
So,
to use to
so
do
I
that?
have professional software that goes in because this whole thing was developed and discovered back in the 70s. And back then they didn't have all this great technology that we have. So it was kind of like, I don't know, if they did it all on paper, but putting your birth time, your birth information, just like you would to get a regular natal chart reading, which is essentially what I do first is get your natal chart. And then I take that information. And so astrocartography, I should back up. Astrology is the moment that you're born, you're on the ground and you're looking up at the sky and you see like where the planets are and the stars. Astrocartography is going in and you're above like our galaxy and you're like looking down at the earth and where the planets are in that moment in time that you were born, where they are hitting like on the Earth's surface. And those specific planet points are activating certain areas of your life at the moment that you're born. So then you can go in and use astrocartography to find out like because each planet has an attribute and all of this. So you can find out like, oh, where is my sun line? Because your sun is your who you are, it's your ego, it's your will. And so when you send, or I should say send, because I just sent a friend of mine to her sun line. When you go to a sun line, it's like usually for most people, based on other aspects of their natal chart, it's like this great place where you feel like you are like supercharged and loving life. And it just feels really good for you. So that's kind of like thinking about like how that works.
That is really cool. I'm thinking now about because my name is the traveling oil gypsy. And I was like, I might need to change that because it's got traveling and gypsy. They mean the same thing, right? Like I like to roam, I like to travel, I like to go. So I've been thinking about changing that. But one thing that makes my heart happy is being somewhere where the sun is shining. So that when you say that, that makes a lot of sense. So, you really can help people get back to themselves and then experience something that is profound enough to heal themselves while they're having a great time. So
Right.
that is so, you know, with that, I think we've already kind of touched on your why, but you know, would that be the reason? And you have something else to say about like your why you chose travel and then this really cool software?
So there's a lot more to that. So
Yeah.
I've been on a really big healing journey for the past few years. I'm working with an intuitive coach and healer, and she has helped me to understand like all the things that I experienced as I grew up were not crazy. So I had a lot of um, different mystical type experiences, seeing things, seeing my dead grandfather, things like that that happened to me as a child. And I was always told like that's crazy, that, or kind of poo-pooed it or made it so that it was small and made me feel small. And so working with this intuitive guide and coach, she's helped me to understand, and a lot of women who are like this, who have things that they keep small. They are made to feel like they're not worthy enough to be special enough to have these gifts that are coming to them for since birth. And maybe it's, they've closed their throat chakra down, so they don't feel like they can talk about it. Been made to feel like they can't grow in that way. And so I learned, especially through a very traumatic time that I had those 8 years ago. I had a very mystical, enlightening experience. I learned that I have a deep connection with angels, with angel energy. And so I'm using that as part of my Reiki practice now. But I was told that that's also a gift that I need to be giving and using through my astrocartography and those healing modalities. Because yes, you can definitely visit those places, but let's say you can't. Something's happened, you're sick, or something else is going on. You can bring the energy of those places to you by just studying the culture or eating the food or wearing clothing or planting plants from those areas of the world. And in doing that, just kind of being able to access those energies. And then I want to be able to bring whatever kind of energetic frequency I can to other people who I'm doing this with to help them heal. And so I have a bigger gift that I need to share, and I'm doing a disservice if I'm not. And I want to help other people. And I'm glad that you're doing this podcast, because I really want to help other women see, like, you may have these gifts. Most people do. And I want to say, and they're not using them and they're not sharing them. And that's just like, especially at this time, like, we all need to be stepping up and sharing as much as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been, my heart has been on this podcast for a while, but I feel like I've recently learned that I'm Vata when it comes to Ayurveda. So I'm kind of like all over. And I needed to be grounded. And I think we talked a little bit before about, when places call to you. So I'm in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I chose to kind of upend my life for a variety of reasons. I have to process things. I'm a verbal processor, and I had a lot of things to sort out. So I'm a 6'2" in human design, which means that, like, I like to experience things, but I can also go into hermit mode. And that's for me to kind of, organize and figure it all out. And I know that my purpose is my voice. I know that that's part of it. And it's funny that you said throat chakra, because I was doing Reiki on myself yesterday, and that's the part that was closed. And that is, again, like that fear, right? That fear of speaking up. And it has a lot to do with childhood, but I think it also has to do with past lives too, right? That would be something I would find in the Akashic records. Um, but I mean, forgiveness is the most important thing, because we can't do anything without that moving forward. And then opening those doors for other women, like you said. So I've finally gotten everything organized, and I was like, you know what, I'm doing this. It doesn't matter what it looks like to other people, because the right people will come and the right people will show up. And you are right. We need to share those gifts far and wide, because now is the time. I follow Starseed777 on Instagram, and she said something like, it is, the healers are in charge now. We are in charge. And so that has, that goes back to heart-based businesses. It's not about, I mean, yes, there's going to be reciprocity and there's going to be energy exchange, because we are the currency, right? Like, we are the driving force behind it all. And when there's equal energy exchange and that reciprocity, we're helping each other grow our businesses, but really we're growing in love, and we're inspiring other people to do that. And because of that, that's when the resources come. That's what I've experienced so far. Yeah, you're shaking your head. Okay, good. So highlighting that, and sharing that, because it's not just about to get ahead. It's about helping the collective. And because we are doing that, that's when we reap the blessings. So you are shining a light, and it is a beautiful, beautiful light. And I am so honored to be your friend. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, so we're gonna have to talk, and another time we're gonna have to talk about Costa Rica and Hawaii, because like those two places. But I think it's a Lumeria type of thing. Uh, do you have any information about that? Like about like foreign ancient places?
So definitely, so going into astrocartography, there are specific lines that can definitely, they believe that they could highlight where you may have had past lives. And a lot of where, because it's not an accident. Your birth time is not an accident. Your birth date is not an accident. Like you are here at that time and space for a reason. And what's great is astrology is a language. So it's a language that was put here for a purpose. And to look into your own chart and then look at the map and figure out like, why do I feel drawn to, like I was telling you, like ancient Egypt? Like I've never been there before. And when I was a kid, I used to go on the Pyramid Collection, I'm dating myself, magazine, and purchase like, hey mom, I want an Egyptian hieroglyphic towel. Like, why, as a 12-year-old, would you want that? Like, and I think that's another whole other thing, like watching your kids and what their interests are at a young age when they haven't been exposed to this stuff before. You can learn different things about their past lives. But it's definitely a way to figure that out a little bit. Now, as for ancient civilizations and like where they are and things like that, astrocartography itself doesn't get into that, but definitely using the Akashic records and going in and reading them at the same time as doing an astrocartography reading and kind of marrying the two and combining them will give an overall picture of like, yes, I feel like I'm drawn to this place because of X, Y, and Z. And that's an offering that I'm hoping to do in the future.
That's amazing. That's really exciting. And sign me up for that, because I'll be there and we will bring the cameras again, whatever we need to do. I'll be there with some bells on, more cowbell. So is there anything else that you would like to share that could inspire or encourage people that are thinking about doing like something, a heart-based business? They're not quite sure what they want to do. Maybe they're scared, anything that you could speak to for those individuals.
So for me, I know personally, I every time I've started a business, I've been terrified. And so what is the opposite? What is the other feeling of terror, being scared is excitement. And so it's kind of transmuting that energy from I'm terrified to do this to this is so exciting that I can do this. And it's really a mindset thing because like I said, we all have these gifts that are coming to the top and like we need to share them. And if you're someone who you're kind of like, well, I want to help and I want to serve, but I don't really know where to start. And I think it starts with you. It starts with who you are and figuring out what lights you up and what brings you joy and just writing it all down. Like what, that's where I had to start. I had to, from the very beginning, when I was trying to figure out who I was like, what do I like? And I'm like, I like coffee and the color purple. Like it was so basic that I had to do that because I had just lost who I was. And I didn't even know where to begin. It was like very, very basic, rudimentary, like, what are my likes? I like to go to the beach. I like the sunshine. Like, and just kind of growing from there and like how do you what are your favorite topics you like to talk about, what makes you excited to go do or speak about, and just kind of figuring out those things that really light you up and then just getting quiet and just being quiet with yourself. And as a mom that's really hard too, or as a businesswoman or just anyone in this like time and age, it's very hard to turn everything off, turn off the computers and the cell phones and sit somewhere in silence and get comfortable with yourself and thinking about like what makes you happy. And just going from there, just kind of growing from there. Those are just the basic steps. And of course, just thinking about what kind of service that you can provide to the collective, to everyone. Like, what is that thing that you could give that would make you feel good on a daily basis? And just just write it out, just think about it, just dream about it, do all the things.
Ruminate on it and, you know, let it happen naturally too. I like, you know, I feel like if it is something that's innate, it's going to come out if you give it that time. Somebody said recently, and I think you probably heard this, something about like a seed. When we plant that seed, you know, it takes that time to germinate and to grow and to move, but it's inside of us. It's inside all of us. So it's allowing that time and that space. And like you said, ruminate on it, dream about it, think about it, and start with those basic things. That's all about self-discovery. You know, I'm with you. I like the color purple and I like the beach too. Um, you know, and I think that sometimes in our lives we go through ebbs and flows of where we are, and that getting back to the basics and getting back to us is how we're going to be able to serve other people. It's really about getting back into our hearts for sure.
And to add to that,
Yes.
just like, so for me, for a lot of mental health stuff, it gets to be like every day becomes Groundhog Day. Like you're doing the same repetitive thing every day. And I know Joe Dispenza talks about this, and it's like change it up, do something different, make a different decision, go do something else. And that's what I love about travel, because it is a way to break out of that ball of like funk of like doing the same thing over and over again. And it's just this expansion where you're making all of these different decisions. And when I go somewhere, I usually have like these really great epiphanies. I'll bring a journal and I'll start writing things down because your whole routine has been completely upended and you're doing completely different things. Even if it's like just going camping and you're like the area where you live, like just doing something different. Um, and also like there's always going to be people who are telling you, you should do this, you should go here, you should do all the things. I think you should be this. And for me, growing up, I wasn't allowed to pick what I wanted to do. I was kind of molded into this is what you're going to be. And, you know, all for 100% reasons that needed to happen in my life for where I am today. But also, like, it's who you are. So your best friend could tell you that you should be doing this or you should be doing that, but how does that feel in your body when you hear them say that? Do you get excited about it? Like when
Right.
they say that, you're like, yes, I should really think about that. Or does it make you feel uncomfortable and like, no, I don't really think that that's for me. Just really using the intuition that we all have, because everybody has it, and just getting down in there and really listening. Yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely.
I like that you said that. I feel like yoga has done that a lot for me. Is getting into my body and getting into stillness and seeing where I'm feeling the yeses or the nos. And it doesn't mean anything is right or wrong. It just means something is aligned for me, you know, in my home frequency. It's like, yeah, that lights me up. I'm gonna dance, you know. Sometimes catch yourself dancing when you're eating. Sometimes I do that. And that means that I'm happy. And so it is noticing those little things. And I love that you said travel. That actually reminds me of the gene keys. So maybe the next time we could do an equal energy exchange, I can look up your gene keys and see kind of where that is for you. And maybe you can do the cartography for me. Um, because one of my gene keys is actually boundlessness. It's number 35. And it says that I get bored if like a Groundhog Day, and I'll get an itch to travel or to go do something completely different because I'm like, same thing, different day. Oh God, yay me. So I love that you said that. And it makes me want to like, I'm like, I wonder if number 35 is in her chart too. We'll have to check that out for next time. This has been truly magical. Is there anything else that you would like to say? I mean, we've got 10 minutes, but um, we've answered all of the questions that I know of, but oh, I know. Um, how can people find you? How can people find you? And what are the services that you offer? I know the cartography, but if you want to go into that so that people know how to reach out.
So I do have a website. It's magicmomtravel.com, and it's in magic, it's not a C, it's a K. And that's because for my first name starts with a K, so I changed it to that. And I just wanted, when I first started my business, I wanted it to feel like when you're going somewhere and making memories with your
Yes.
family or even by yourself, it's magical. It's a magical experience sometimes. It's not always like magical. Sometimes things can make you go crazy if it doesn't go well. But like it should be an experience that you will hold with you forever. And so that's why I call it that. But anyway, magicmomtravel.com is my website. And on there, you can either send me a contact form, fill out a contact form for us to get together and talk about somewhere that you're interested in traveling in, because I do travel everywhere. I've had people ask me like, oh, do you just do Disney World? Because my family and I go there a lot. Um, no, I do everything. And on that page, also, I have now another tab that goes to Astrocartography where you can hit the link to book a session. And it explains a little bit about that. And both of those are done, they do not need to be done in person. They are, Astrocartography is in Zoom. And the form, we just go back and forth talking. It's regular travel advisor work. And I also do a Reiki, and that is on my it's also in that Calendly form that's connected to my travel agency, but it's also on my page, the Wellness Garden, which I have on Facebook. I also have a Magic Mom Travel Facebook site as well.
Awesome. So there's multiple ways of getting in contact with you and scheduling time, which is amazing. And if people are interested in oils too, then they can go to you. Um, but I noticed that that's kind of something that you use for yourself. And then if people ask about it, is that how you do it with the oils?
So I've done a lot of classes. I used to do a lot of classes online, but I feel like my energy is now better served in person. And since I had surgery earlier this year, that's been healing. That's kind of taken like a back seat. But I am incorporating oils into like my travel, into my Reiki, especially. Huge on that. And it's more of a one-on-one in-person type of thing. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. It's kind of changed and flowed. Like I think all businesses should flow where they're supposed to go. That it's kind of an ebb and flow direction.
Yeah, and that's good because I think as women, it's hard to be in that rigidity. We need to be able to be soft and to flow and to move, and that's what I'm learning about myself as well. So that is excellent. Well, we have come to the end of our time together. This has been truly magical. Um, I'm smiling ear to ear because it just makes me think there is a reason for everything, why I'm here. oh, I forgot to tell you this. So I am Lumbee native, and I was drawn to the Outer Banks to come as my escape. And I realized that the Croatan, that Lumbee are derivative of the Croatan. So again, my epigenetics, my DNA, we're going to take you and we're going to put you somewhere completely different. I knew that you would understand that, because I was going through this whole, a little bit of what we've been told in the program versus what my body is telling me. And, that's a real dichotomy. And so going through that and processing that information has been quite a bit too. So imagine you've gone through similar things as you're shaking your head. Yes.
Yes, definitely.
So people like you are a pillar, and I appreciate you and the services that you provide, and know that your mess again becomes your message. And when we got lost and we found our way out, now we're holding the light and saying, "Hey, this is my light. You've got one inside of you too." So thank you so much for your time, your effort, your energy. Blessings upon blessings for you and your business and all of the people that you are serving. I love you so much.
Thank you. Love you so much. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will talk soon. Bye.